Welcome to District Divided, everybody. I am Amit Singh. Joining me, Matt Regan, LC, Kadeen Wiggins, aka K-Dot, and Spencer Brudig. How are you folks doing today?
Doing great. Feeling great from that weekend meetup. The whole pod was there. Yeah. Me, Spencer, Ahmed, LC, and Kadeen, your invite's in the ether. It's coming, man. It's in the mail.
Legit, all of you were there?
All of us were there.
It was a blast.
Wow.
So much fun.
My ass.
I can't think the last time I had that much fun.
Yeah.
We have a lot of inside
amazing.
We have a lot of inside jokes we're gonna have on this pod. Yeah. We're not gonna get them. Our listeners won't either. But
do you remember when Amit did that thing? That was just so funny.
Hilarious. We actually met a lot of our. It was kind of a fan meetup too, to be honest.
It was
a lot of fans.
It was. We didn't even need to say like and subscribe. They have subscribed and they have liked this podcast. It's ridiculous.
Well, here's what I'll do. I'll let you guys have that, and the 10 people that watch these videos, and then I'm just gonna go into my multi-thousand view. Podcast, and
he had to try.
Maybe we'll do a virtual meetup because we can't fit everyone that listens in the same room.
Kadeen, it does not count when 999 of those views came from you and your parents. All right, so
you could have been more specific and say about the Bangladeshis that I pay to do this, but beyond that, I'm just saying that we can't keep. Unless we want to do a stadium meetup, but we sell out shows.
Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah, but that's dope, but no one's friends with you. So, we had a great time. I thought we had a fantastic
let me pose this there. Hey, Matt, you wanted to do a guest spot, right? Would you rather do another one of those meetups or have a platform that's going to reach people?
I would thousands. Anything to do with this podcast in a heartbeat just to sniff your other podcasts. All right.
I rest my case.
He's loyal.
Hey, but it was fun. We should do it again. I still maintain Lou's is the worst bar in DC. Way overpriced for what it is, but still good seeing everyone.
So convenient.
Yeah.
It is. It is very convenient. And just speaking of Matt potentially doing a guest spot over there, just ridiculous. But speaking of that, we are going to be talking about Would You Rather. It's one of the best Would You Rathers, and it really stirred up conversation at the Hangout. Would you rather be an athlete that makes $25 million a year, but you have no iconic moment and no championship throughout your career? Or would you rather make $5 million a year and have an iconic moment as well as win a championship? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about the most iconic hairdo in sports. Okay, so we're going to each nominate an athlete. We're going to discuss a little bit. Should be a lot of fun. But as always, we are going to begin with our State of the Union, your DC Sports Wraparound Coverage segment. And this time, Kadeen, you are going to lead us off. Tell us about the Washington football team.
So it's been a busy week for the Washington football team. Other people might not understand that regardless of whatever's happening with other sports in the city, there's only one team that reigns supreme, and that's the Washington football team, regardless of whatever the record is. You understand what I'm saying? But there were quite a few things that came out of Ashburn this week. I'm not going to list them or rank them in any sort of sense. We're just going to go off of them. Morgan Moses finally got released, which was a surprise to some. He the right tackle kind of stay for the last few years. But if you recall last offseason, there was that story about Ron Rivera and the ping pong table in the locker room. And there was that gang of guys that were always around the ping pong table. Well, I have to say Morgan Moses was the last guy of the ping pong crew who left on the Washington football team. So I don't know what the hell was going on with that ping pong table, but last guy's out of there. Getting rid of Morgan Moses to me just solidifies that they feel as though this offensive line's in a really good position. So I feel really, really good about it. And plus, he's been kind of chatting here and there, and it's just it's fine to move on from that. There's another guy that we moved on from that has kind of hit me in the feels, and that was Ryan Kerrigan. Now, Ryan Kerrigan, Washington mainstay, I think he did get it last year. He's the all-time sack leader for Washington. He finally said bye, and we all kind of knew the writing was on the wall. I think all of us kind of had hope that we re-sign him by the end of this offseason, but he left, and it's not that he just left. It's that he's now wearing that putrid, shitty Eagle green. And I watched a video today of him saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly," and my heart just snapped in two. I've never been this upset about a team, about a guy that played for our team going anywhere else. I've been in and out of tears for the last week. He was the last jersey that I really had of a Washington player that I could wear. And now it's done because I ain't putting on that goddamn RG3 jersey anymore. Ryan, I love you, buddy. I'll root for you again once you're not wearing that shitty green. and we'll miss all the memories and everything that you had there for us. But then the two other quick hits as far as the Washington football team was Dan Snyder getting caught on TMZ talking about the new stadium. He's going apparently jet setting all across the world with Jason Wright looking at state-of-the-art things so that we could put together the brand new stadium in Washington, which is exciting to me. You could tell that he hired the TMZ guys to be there to get to catch up with him, which was a little awkward. And also, more importantly for FedEx Field, we are finally fully replacing the surface of the grass. It is they are digging deep, getting rid of all that dirt. I think it's like 2 feet down and doing an entire reside of the field, which is huge. You talk to a lot of players across the league that say that it should have been illegal to play on that dirt. And I think with the jet setters that we got as far as the wide receiving core, I mean, NFC champions already, baby. Already.
Yeah, and we need to keep these people safe. I mean, there've been way too many injuries on that field. Way too many. The RG3 one.
And you can see with the kicking game.
Has it been too soft? Like, what was the problem?
They say
too scary, too dangerous.
What the way that other teams have talked about, they say that it's basically dirt that's been spray painted green. That's what they say that the surface is like. It's just absolutely miserable, but it's been miserable for years. They try to get rid of the surface level, get like Bermuda grass in there or whatever. Now they finally said, you know what? We're going to take it all the way down to where the heating elements are and just replace the entire thing.
You think about playing at like Fort Reno, for example, you know, by Wilson High School. You think about Alice Deal or Hardy Middle School back in the day. It was all dirt.
Oh, God,
it's the same type of field basically that our Washington football team.
What a great team to represent the district. You know, just they don't even play on real grass.
What's the timeline on the new stadium?
2027.
2027.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a while because Dan, like you said, Dan and Jason are flying around. How do you think that works? You think they go to a stadium and he's like, I like that thing.
Those lights.
Like I like that popcorn machine.
That's pretty much what he said. That's pretty much what it was. It's like, hey, those flowers outside, I think that looked great.
Write that down.
Let's go to London.
I really like he stands up and he's like, you know, doing the power pose and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, no, sure, I'm ready for this. I never talk to fucking anybody, but yeah, sure, ask me a question, TMZ. Like it was abundantly clear he was definitely ready for that shit. But
easily.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what he chooses to pick and stuff like that. There should be some fun features to this new stadium.
Outdoor, I'm straight.
You made me think of something with the move of going to the Eagles. Like, it's something that do you guys think that here some players consider like, because I'm playing on this team, I should probably not check out my next contract on this other team? Because in Argentina, it happens a lot. Like if you play for Boca Juniors, you would be insane to go to the rivals River Plate in the next contract. Like you will be the most hated person.
So I think
that much here.
I think here in the Ryan Kerrigan situation, I think if he could have gone somewhere else, he probably would have. He'd been with the team for so long. I think if someone had been with the team for 3-4 years, they don't care. They'll go wherever the money is or wherever they want to go. But in his case, I think maybe the market wasn't there for him as much as he maybe thought it would be. And Philly probably gave him a good offer. And it was like either come back here for a significantly cheaper amount or go to Philly, get more playing time. We got a stacked defensive line.
And like,
I don't know.
Yeah, everybody's looking at the Chris Long thing that they did and thinking that Ryan Kerrigan's basically going to do that exact same thing. But what you're saying is that like that's where it goes to as far as like the difference between American sports mostly and like European soccer. Right. In the sense of people getting it twisted between fandom and where the business aspect of things are. Sure. Right. So it's like I can't really be mad at Kerrigan all that much. It just hurts because I mean I'm looking at you got two kids, great school district in DC. Philly's not that far away if you're used to the area, right? If Baltimore's not picking up the phone, Philadelphia makes the most sense. So like I can make sense of it, right? But the fact is that even when you look at a jersey that you pick up for any team in American sports, you realize there's only a matter of time before it's probably going to go away unless you have just one of those perennial superstars. Like a Pat Mahomes jersey, nothing's going to go wrong with it. Aaron Rodgers jersey, now it's kind of looking bad, right? And you know what would have ever thought it. So it's just one of those things where it's just weird.
Right. Yeah, no, I find that interesting because there are like in European soccer, at least in Argentina as well, like there's just like such a rivalry that it would be like a treason to go to that other team immediately.
But that's the thing. Soccer to me, and I've talked about this at length, soccer to me, people are so ingrained in their soccer team being a part of who they are culturally. Because I mean, these teams have been around for so long. And you've got, my dad followed this team, my granddad followed this team, and it's now ingrained in your identity. Where in America, it's like, hey, Houston's an expansion team, 2002. Right. shit, I just learned to kind of root for these guys. And because of free agency, everybody's going everywhere. So you're not rooting for the players as much as just rooting for a fucking logo. You're rooting
That's an
for a
interesting,
brand.
yeah.
And it's just,
it's an interesting dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Kadeen, real quick, do you hate Ryan Kerrigan? Are you rooting against him? Anything like that?
I can never root for him, period. But the way that I've always broke down the NFC East, right? I can root for Eagles players, but I hate the fans more than any other people on the planet.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Cowboys players I'll never root for. You'll never hear me say a positive thing about a Cowboy player ever. You'll hear me say some positive thing about Eagle players. I used to say positive things about Brian Westbrook, Brian Dawkins, things like that. But fuck the fans. Cowboys fans, fuck them. I don't really care. Like just piss off. But the players, I hate them with a passion. Like it hurt me to finally admit that I love Tony Romo. Like I could finally admit that I love Tony Romo. I could never do it when he wore that goddamn star. In New York Giants, who gives a shit? Fuck him.
Fair enough.
Barely
Yeah, I'm rooting for Ryan Kerrigan to do well and blow out losses and stuff like that. So just meaningless sacks, let his numbers just keep rising. But other than that, especially when they play Washington, no chance. Hope he gets completely stuffed by whomever it may be. It could be Sam Cosmi, the guy who's now wearing number 76 for the Washington football team. We'll see what happens. But now why don't we get on to the rest of the State of the Union? So let's begin. This time, let's do women's sports. Let's start with that, and then we'll get to the Caps debacle and the Wizards in their playoff series. But let's begin with the Washington Mystics. I told you guys that this team, playoffs, floor, championship, ceiling, they've gotten off to a bad start, like a really bad start. They are 1-3, and all 3 losses have been by double digits. Their win has also been by double digits, but not a great start to the season. There is good news, though. So Elena Deladon, our best player, I'm sure you guys have heard the name, of course. She is going to be coming back. Yeah, Matt's like, of course we fucking heard of Elena Deladon.
Of course. Have her
There's
jersey.
more for Elsie than anything. She should be back at some point this week. And Maisha Hines-Allen just came back for the team as well. She is a beast. So up next at the Indiana Fever, you know what, guys? I have a question. So it's Tuesday night. We put this out on Wednesday. I could say tonight, but like they play the Fever tonight, Tuesday night. But people are going to see this on Wednesday. So do I say yesterday and it's like it's over? What do I do here?
Say
You
Tuesday.
just explain that we're recording before the game like you just did, and that you're not going to see this until
Okay,
after.
sounds good. Okay, that happens
You
Tuesday.
overthought the hell out of that.
That happens
Yeah.
Tuesday at 7 p.m. on
How do you get through
Monumental
life
Sports
if you
Network.
panic at that decision?
And then Saturday, well, it affects the rest of it too. And then Saturday at the
restarted.
Connecticut Sun at 7 p.m. also on the Monumental Sports Network. Real quick, Maryland women's basketball. National Coach of the Year Brenda Freese signed an extension today that will keep her coaching through the 2027 season. So that's big news for the Maryland Terps over there in College Park. And then the Washington Spirit, moving on to women's soccer, tied their season opener 1-1 against the Orlando Pride on the road. Ashley Hatch scored for us to put us in the lead, and then Alex Morgan scored to tie it up late. Fun fact about the ball that was used to start the game. Can you guys guess what the fun fact is? Hint, Matt may know what this is.
About the ball itself?
About the ball itself.
Was it made in DC? I don't know.
They used a hockey puck. That's why Matt knows.
hockey puck.
No, I have no idea.
It's been to outer
Jubilani.
space.
It
has been to outer space.
Oh.
Matt works in like space stuff and stuff like that. I'm surprised
Wow.
they didn't tell you that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it went to outer space. It was apparently a big deal on the broadcast. It was said almost immediately. And then they played another game on the road, this time a loss to Racing Louisville. And it was pretty bad, too, from an injury perspective. Dorian Bailey, a midfielder for the team, got hurt. So it's a big loss there. She'll be out for a few weeks with a dislocated shoulder. And then Trinity Rodman, I think got some back spasms or something like that, but she should be okay. Speaking of, happy belated birthday to Trinity Rodman. It's a bit bittersweet because on the one hand, you know, happy birthday, Trinity Rodman. On the other hand, she's 19. She's that much closer to being a has-been. So I'm getting a bit concerned. When
Speaking of getting up there, Amit Singh, happy birthday, bud.
The main host.
Happy birthday, you has
birthday,
been.
our fearless leader. You
He
fucking
definitely has been.
much appreciated. Thank you for the shout out, boys.
Kim Jong-il of leaders.
I do it with a smile on my face too, so I think we got a couple things in common there. But that's about it. That's where the similarities stop. So 19 years old, Trinity Rodman, she is totally fine. She'll be good to play the next game. And then happy birthday today. So now yesterday, talking what we talked about, to Ashley Hatch, who was actually a guest on a previous episode of District Divided. We actually had a pro athlete on the podcast before. So Happy birthday to Ashley Hatch. Now, up next for the Washington Spirit, it is today, Wednesday, at the Houston Dash. The game can be seen on Paramount Plus. The game, I believe, is at 7:30 p.m., could be 8:30 p.m. The reason I'm not 100% sure is because Segra Field, it was supposed to be the home opener for the Washington Spirit. But the new field is not yet ready. The construction was supposed to be DC United's job. They own the complex. It's not ready. Then the Spirit asked DC United, hey, can we play at Audi Field? DC United says no. Even though DC United's next home game is June 19th and nothing else is going on there till then, it makes absolutely no sense.
What the hell?
But now they have to play at Houston, and they're still sort of determining when it is 7:30 or 8:30. I've had conflicting different reports online, Googling.
We just talked about the FedEx Field, and Dan Snyder always just, whether Rolling Stones wants to come to town or anything else, protect your goddamn field. I'm just saying that.
But they're playing soccer on it.
And
what they already do.
It'll be fine.
And
Yeah,
once
the
I
field
get
will
to
be
the
fine.
once I get to the DC United part of this update, you're going to be like, why the fuck are they protecting it? It doesn't
It's a
make
game.
sense.
They're not improving. It's a game. Let him play, man.
Let them
Soccer,
play.
I don't know
Let them
anything
play.
about
So why don't we go ahead and talk about DC United, because there's been one
you
and two. Go ahead.
I watched it. I watched this United, and I have been watching the last few games. And if you're not a soccer fan, this may sound a little bit like weird to hear, but they don't play poorly. They just can't win the games. And I know that's like much less common in other sports. Like it's hard to play poorly a basketball game and win it because there's so many opportunities to score. But in soccer, you can like play a good game, get scored on once, and just lose. And I feel like they don't play poorly. Like when I watch the game, they don't play poorly. I don't say they play great, but they're doing fine. They just cannot finish, cannot score, and then usually give one or two up and just cannot come back from it. It's a weird experience to watch.
Yeah,
It does make sense. It sounds like the Chargers in the NFL.
That's
The
actually a
Chargers
great
are
comparison. So
I'm
obviously
still,
the Chargers,
the 2010 Chargers might be the greatest
Okay.
football team of all time. They just
great
didn't make
offense,
playoffs.
but they just can't win
Couldn't
because
win.
the defense does something wrong or something terrible happens in the last
There you
2
go.
minutes of the game. DC United, that's a very good comparison, Kadeen. So DC United, the DC United Chargers right now, 1-2 since your last update. We beat the Chicago Fire 1-0. Edison Flores scored the winner in the 7th minute. Then we lose to Orlando 1-0. And they scored the winner in the 7th minute. Then they lost to Philadelphia 1-0 this past Sunday at home. DC United now sit in 11th place in the Eastern Conference. Now, off the field and sort of on the field, the fans of DC United have been under fire because they've been throwing beer cans onto the field. They've been throwing beer now at their own supporters, and they were actually seen trying to pick fights with Philadelphia Union fans as they were boarding the bus to go home. So all around, from a PR perspective for DC United, not been good. The results also not been good. Just a tough week for them overall.
And now they're like, and we're
How
keeping
about-
our field for ourselves.
Yeah.
Dude, how about stadiums open up and it seems like there are just brawls every single game? It's
Yeah.
been insane.
Been
A
like
lot of
Pent-up
pent-up
energy.
energy. Yeah.
Jinx.
But it's not.
Oh. But it's the same thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have, I have the Citizen app. You guys ever have the Citizen app? The Citizen app, basically, you plug in where you're at and it tells you any crime or anything that happens in your area. So you're just aware. So Baltimore's because where I live. Can you imagine how often that shit goes off? And then DC also. This summer is going to be off the chain. Just stay home. Just fucking stay home.
The irony. Things open up. Kadeen says, stay home. Just go ahead and stay
That's
home.
different.
It's time to quarantine from people.
There's actual research on correlations between violence and heat. So science backs you up, Kadeen.
Yeah, Columbia Heights in the summer actually has incredible crime statistics. It's pretty bad. So
That's how we knew the summer happened.
Be careful.
It was always like you knew the summer happened with the rate of homicide.
you did it based not on temperature, but based on the number of homicides and
Yeah,
crime. You're
spring,
like, oh, it
there's
must be
a
summer.
lull.
Oh, I do
Spring,
feel
there's a
hot. I'm
lull.
sweating a little bit. That's a good point.
Fall, there's a lull. You know it's not really a snow season until somebody gets shot over a parking space. Like, that's how I know. I follow seasons and weather based on what's happening criminality-wise.
You know, I'll tell you what, if it works, it works. It's still not going to stop me from going to Taco Bell Cantina. Let's go.
Whenever
do-
that opens.
I do
Whenever
want to
they
just
get
say I
those
love the
permits.
idea of Kadeen as a weatherman being like, and in the north of Baltimore, it's got to be
That's
freezing
the
because there were
heat map.
6.
Several
Also-
people shot in the street.
Also,
next to snow.
Spencer, would you like to offer, just real quick to be honest, a formal apology to all of our fans for saying Taco Bell Cantina would be open? And
Yeah, that was bad, dude. You
Still
broke-
not
Yeah,
open.
broke fake
I
news on
have a really good excuse though, And yeah, unfortunately, I said that it was going to be opening. I think was that 2 Saturdays ago or last Saturday, but all is not lost. They supposedly failed an inspection, whether that be a health inspection. That would make sense with Taco Bell. Although it's not open yet, so it doesn't really make sense. Maybe it's just like a structural inspection. I don't want to get the podcast sued. So they failed some sort of inspection or are waiting on some sort of inspection. I will keep you all updated when our beloved fast food taco joint opens up.
That's a Taco Bell rite of passage. You
Also,
can't have a Taco Bell.
But real quick, does anyone actually believe Spencer right now?
No, he doesn't.
No. I think
it's open. I'm here now.
I think Hey, I appreciate you doubling down there. Let's get back. Let's get back to it real quick. DC United's next game is Saturday at Inter Miami at 8 p.m. You can stream the game on DCUnited.com. Now, moving on to baseball, the Washington Nationals 3-game win streak against the Baltimore Orioles. So they're still in last place in the NL East, but it's very, very tight. They're only 2 games back of first place. The New York Mets at 21-20. So not a great division. That's totally fine. The Washington football team played in a horrible division. They got to the playoffs. Maybe the Washington Nationals can do the same thing. Shout out Ryan Zimmerman, Mr. National, who has now scored the most runs in Nationals history. Well done, Ryan Zimmerman. Congratulations on that landmark achievement. Up next, a 3-game series with the Reds, then the Brewers, and then we'll update you next week on the Atlanta Braves series. It's a big one. All those games, as always, can be seen on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. Now, finally brings us to the ice. So, the Washington Capitals, dead. 5-game series with the Boston Bruins. Spencer, congratulations on getting the number of games right. But Boston won 4-1. So we had all predicted a Caps series victory, but it didn't happen. The only good news for Washington fans is that the Pittsburgh Penguins are down 3-2 in their series to the New York Islanders. They're a game away from elimination. Now, Matt, up next for us, the offseason, the void, existence in a vacuum. What is next for the core of this team?
There are a lot of theories circling around right now. I mean, this loss was a shock, and now you have to think this team has not won a playoff series since their Stanley Cup. Bounced in the first round all 3 times. They've made the playoffs. They've had good records, good teams. They've made small moves but kept the core together. There are a lot of names being circled. Obviously, Alex Ovechkin's a free agent. I can't see him going anywhere. I think he'll be re-signed on a pretty lengthy deal. That seems inevitable. The big name that people are throwing out is Evgeny Kuznetsov, who had a tough end of the season, wasn't in COVID protocol, so missed some games, came back, took some bad penalties. He's kind of at an all-time low, but there is a new NHL team coming in, the Seattle Kraken, and so there's going to be an expansion draft, and you might leave people exposed if you can get, they're kind of like an open trade season. It's such a weird process, but people saying Oshie's name is out there. So something's got to change. It's been, again, 3 years without a win, and there's a lot of similarities to the pre-Stanley Cup Capitals that you're seeing in these past few years. Were great public, great regular seasons, and then just poor showings in the playoffs. And this was bad. I mean, the Bruins are a good team, but it losing 4-1 to this team is unacceptable. So I think there's a lot of questions to be asked. I still think it's a great core, but they're going to have to make some moves for sure in the offseason.
If there was a realistic player that you could get, who would that player be in your mind?
Let me answer that next week. I don't know at this time.
The thing that I always look back to with the Caps team is that is there now the Barry Trotz curse in a sense? Like the idea that it still blows my mind they let him walk. Like I still can't fathom that they did that shit. Like it was one of those things you back that Brinks truck all the way up and pay whatever he wants to pay just to get it done. I don't understand you do like it just feels like we reverted completely back to where he finally got us to where we need to be. And certain guys and the energy and just the vibe of the squad was different. And now it's just like we're starting back. Like they tried to do it with the young guy. Now they try to like where do you think the Trotz thing is and all that is not being the biggest hockey guy?
It's huge. Like he went to the Oilers, who were terrible before he got there. They lost the summer he got there. They lost their all-time player John Tavares, who signed for the Maple Leafs, probably the biggest free agent signing in NHL post-cap history. And they go in, they make the playoffs the first year. You guys probably couldn't name a single player on their team. They're not a star-driven team other than maybe Matt Barzal. And they make the playoffs every year. They're taking the Caps. They're just a hard team to play against. And I think that's where you go against the Caps. And you can look at Ovechkin, you can look at Backstrom and say sometimes they don't want to do the dirty work. Barry Trotz ingrains that in his teams. That's what he did at Nashville. And when they were an expansion team, they're good for 15 years or whatever he was there for. That's what he did with the Caps. He changed their team around. He got Ovechkin to believe in defense, and they carved out a championship. They seem to have gotten away from that. And then you see what he's doing with the Islanders. I mean, yeah, they should have thrown the bag at him. They took a pay cut going with Adam Riordan. That didn't work out for 2 years. Now they're kind of paying more for Peter Laviolette. And I think, whatever. He did a fine job. Like, it was tough to make the playoffs, but losing in the first round, you got to be looking at Barry Trotz, and that could be a turning point in where this franchise is. So that's a great point. And, there's no way. I mean, he's has a great setup at the Islanders now, so there's no getting him back.
Yeah, Trotz joining the Islanders immediately after. You'd said, Matt, did you see he joined the Oilers first, or was it the Islanders immediately?
It was Islanders right away.
Okay, yeah. So, Islanders immediately. You couldn't name anybody on the team, but they did sweep us last season regardless. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where, like Kadeen said, you back that Brinks truck up, and it's just not something Leonsis has been known to do. Can anyone blame Barry Trotz for leveraging winning a title? No. And I think every single fan would have taken him back, no problem, because you're then entering an era of good feelings. All of a sudden you can establish momentum. And instead, now the comparison seems to be the New Orleans Saints. I saw that online, and it makes a lot of sense. Drew Brees had one title over 10 plus years. And same thing with Ovechkin. Great teams in the regular season, but in the postseason, they just happen to fall short. So, Matt, if you were to expose one player, Oshie or Kuznetsov, who would it be?
I would personally do Oshie. I think he has a lower ceiling, and he's 34 or maybe 33 going on 34. I think he's more beloved by the fan, but definitely is. And seems like a great guy, but all in all, as a real asset of what this team needs to start hitting the ceilings on their players, Oshie has a lower ceiling. They kind of need keep Kuznetsov, and they need him to hit his max. So we've seen that what that is. He can be right up there with Backstrom and Ovi, but man, his low is low, and they're an all-time low point. His value is as low as it's ever going to go. So I would personally hang on to Kuzi. I don't think it can get any worse than this.
Yeah. I think they're going to end up exposing Kuzi. I love Kuzi. Yeah. I love Oshie as well, but I think Oshie is also saying all the right things right now. He says he wants to retire a cap, and he had a good series. I mean, it was him, Hathaway, Dowd, and like you said, Kuzi, awful series. He had COVID twice, which meant he broke protocols a couple times as well. Got under fire with Laviolette, and then this series with that contract. It's a big contract too. I suspect Kuzi's going to be the one exposed, but the highest of highs can result in a Stanley Cup. So that's Caps talk for you guys. And now we move on to the Washington Wizards, who are still right in the thick of it in the NBA playoffs. They lost their first game to the Philadelphia 76ers, but it was close until probably the final 5 minutes or so, when turnover after turnover after turnover just killed this team. So they end up losing that game 125 to 118. Quick shout out to Russell Westbrook, who was named Eastern Conference Player of the Month for May. He had that spectacular ongoing month, but we did fall a bit short. Now, fast forward to today, we got game 2 today, Wednesday at 7 p.m. on NBC Sports Washington, or on NBA TV nationally. And then game 3 is Saturday at 7 p.m. here in DC. Game 4 is Monday at 7 p.m. here in DC as well. But LC, if you could kick us off here, what improvements do the Wizards need to make for us to win this series? Maybe starting with the jersey color.
Oh my God, why would you wear the same color than the refs? I mean, I hate to go back to soccer all the time, but that's a cardinal sin right there. I mean, Russell Westbrook found that ref who was wide open for 3. And I'm sorry, if I'm a ref and I'm doing the playoffs, I'm getting that and I'm shooting it, man. I mean, it's such a great opportunity to get a Russell Westbrook dime. But anyway, start with any other color. I also have to say, has there ever been a good-looking gray jersey in history? What a terrible base color.
I don't mind the gray. I actually don't mind the jersey. I don't mind the jersey. I think NBA jerseys are under fire though. What were the Heat wearing the other day? Wearing yellow, and then they had those cotton candy jerseys.
Okay, but beyond the jersey color, I do think you're right on the money on the turnovers in the fourth quarter. I mean, we have talked about this before. It's been a recurrent ghost for the Wizards is closing out games. Like oftentimes they will just do everything right to stay in the game, to have a chance, and absolutely blow it in the fourth quarter. I don't know at this point if that is a coaching problem? Is that a mental preparation problem? Is that a nervousness problem? Like I don't know to what extent you can point fingers, but something has to change. I would say mentally, because obviously the talent is there, right? You kept with the team for 3 quarters, so clearly you can do it. But something happens in the fourth quarter where it's just a loss of concentration, a loss of like game plan. It was a horrible fourth quarter, and unfortunately, it's not the first time we've seen that. So I think for them, well, not just what adjustments, I think also what good things to repeat. Get Joel Embiid in foul trouble early if you can. Like that was a huge help. We don't talk enough about like because they picked up the slack with who was on fire for Philadelphia. Tobias Harris picked up the slack, but if you can get Joel Embiid out of the game, obviously you want that every single time. But I think if they cannot do that, and Tobias Harris is 50% of what he was the other night, it'll be very hard for us unless we have a very, very solid 4 quarters game. Again, it's not enough with 3 quarters. You're playing the number 1 seed. You're the number 8. You have to play all 4th quarters at a very, very good level. So I would say consistency is the main thing to go for.
Yes. What do you guys think? Number of wins for the Wiz? Think they get 1?
4. Oh, we're fine, baby.
Well, I stand exactly where I was last
0.
time we talked about this, which is that the last game they will win was that play-on win.
I think they'll get 1.
The game 1 is usually the feeler game, right? Like it's the game that you're trying to get everything. Like you got the Sixers going in; they had a little bit of a break compared to what it is that we had. They're getting back in the groove, right? I think what you're talking about is it's talent. We do not have the talent that they have on that team. Like even if you're talking about you want to hopefully get Embiid into foul trouble so it kind of eliminates him to a certain degree. Okay, Ben Simmons is a shutdown guy as far as on defense. You've got all these other guys that they can always pick up the slack and get going. With Washington, everyone has to be on point the entire time. There's no room for error. You cannot do that.
That won't happen.
Win a 7-game series. You can't do it.
No, I'm with you on that. I think it's one of those things where like all of the stars have to align for the Wizards to win a game, whereas Philly can do it a few stars out of line and just still make it comfortably.
I'm going to give you guys the irrational fan perspective real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and explain what I saw.
I feel like that's just your standard operating procedure.
Do you have another mode?
Who's to say? But here's what I see. I see Russell Westbrook in his first year with the Washington Wizards, still learning to play with his teammates and just being Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Brad Beal, that hamstring's getting better and better as we go. He was in his back. Who's Brad? Who's Brad? Bradley Beal.
He's a guard.
You know what fixes a bum hamstring is playing on it more.
Oh, dude.
I heard that helps
listen, if he's wearing the same thing I'm wearing for my left knee right now, he's just fine. Let me tell you that right now. Incredible. Thank you so much for the knee sleep there.
The East looks scarier already. Milwaukee's back, and they're better. There's no room.
Hold on. Here's the most encouraging thing to me. Here's the most encouraging thing to me is that Scott Brooks looks like he might actually coach a decent series here. He ended the game with Daniel Gafford. That was huge to me. As we continue to feel the series out, if Gafford ends up playing very well, and if Bertans needs to be on every single time, and he was kind of on in game 1 and we still lost with Embiid in foul trouble. I understand the monumental task, but I'm not here to say no. I'm here to say yes, damn it. And we are going to get it done.
Didn't we have a conversation about how you hope the Wizards didn't make the playoffs so that we could fire Scott?
But we also said now that we're here, let's enjoy the ride. Oh, no, he's not coming back. He's not coming back.
I think Amit said,
we may as well just go for it.
Amit said that they have to make the Eastern Conference Finals for him to not fire. I think though, in regards to this series, I'd love to see the Wizards light it up. I think they have to just shoot a lot of threes, honestly. But if you look at that game, the spread of assists on the Wizards is so low. It's just like all Westbrook, and I think Beal was second, and it's like that's just not good. And when you look at the 76ers, it was pretty spread, although Ben Simmons had 15 and 15. And then also
6
the
points,
rebounding.
0 for 5 from free throw. Dude,
Ben Simmons is a beast.
The other thing too is the rebounding, right? I mean, the 76ers are just so hard nosed, and all those guys rebounds. They're dogs, and they don't get it. And unfortunately, you cannot say that the Washington Wizards, they are a terrible rebounding team. So I just think
and we are a small team too, right? Like Neto is he their small forward? What's he like 6'1" or some ridiculous thing? I mean, we are a small team, and Philadelphia. Well, I understand. I'm 5'7". I'm not gonna call anybody short, but like, if you're in the NBA,
relative.
I mean, and it's hard when you need to beat a team in every single thing to have a chance, and it's just you got to do it 4 times out of 7.
Yeah, and
that's rough.
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement there. I'm delusional, but whatever. Good luck. But
I say the irrational fan perspective here. I'm here to stay.
But keeping at NBA playoffs, LC, I think you need to defend your guy, LeBron James. He's had a tough week. He's had some injuries, like getting tapped on the shoulder, getting tapped on the forehead, and just rolling around on the ground.
Have you been tapped in the forehead by an NBA player? That's what I thought. That's right. You would be rolling.
Hold on. Matt, have you been tapped?
I have actually.
Okay.
Yeah, many a time. I mean,
my main guy is Facu Campazzo, who had a great night last night on Monday night, and the Denver Nuggets took another game, one game, so now it's 1-1. He's my guy.
So you're defending your guy by naming another guy.
I'm just saying, LeBron is my second.
Going to the finals.
Ooh.
LeBron's game one.
Dollar bet?
Dollar bet.
Good
dollar bets.
Shake on it. The LeBron's record as far as game ones, I think he has a losing record in game ones over his career. It's a feel-out game.
Really?
It is a feel-out game.
And the Wizards lost.
I have no problem.
The Wizards have no talent.
I have no problem, Kadeen. I have no problem with the Lakers losing or LeBron's playing at all. But like, dude, this is twice in his last 2 playoff games where he's just been rolling around on the ground.
If you're going to do anything, if you're looking at game one as far as the Lakers and the reason that they didn't succeed, look no further than the guy who blamed himself for the goddamn loss, which was AD, had one of the worst goddamn outings I've ever seen him put up. He just wasn't there. And I don't see that happening 2 games in a row. Like, you just got to revert back to knowing 7-game series.
It's a big deal.
They weren't healthy.
Yeah.
I think
we know what they are.
Yeah.
Bron turns it on.
We are who we thought they are.
All right, cool. Let's wrap up playoff talk for now. By this time next week, I believe the Wizards will be up 3-1. Maybe have even won the series. But that's not true. They couldn't have won the series. Game 4.
Mathematically
3-1.
impossible. But okay.
No, I think we'll probably be down 3-1 at that point, if I'm being honest. But we'll see what happens. I'm still a irrational fan.
I do think we can take one here because I do think if Philly can have a bad night. I think that can happen.
I think we may spice things up a little bit and take game 2 and then maybe lose both at home. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We may spice things up and be like, oh, was Amit right? We're about to find out, boys. Anyway,
that won't happen.
Let's talk about hairdos. I got a bit of stuff going on. I probably need to get a haircut, but let's talk about the most iconic sports hairdos. Okay, so we're talking the biggest hair, the craziest hair that has been worn during a game, post-game presser, you name it. It has to be during their career. That is the current restriction of it. Spencer, why don't we begin with you? I don't know how you got that little stash. Kick us off.
I was hoping for a hairdo, but I don't have any filters that are hairdo, so I'll just go with the next best hair. I've got a current player, and then I've got a legend player. Is that cool with everyone?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Yeah,
I think I was kind of going around. There's a lot. You got Birdman was like, he's kind of recent. He had some wild hair. Jeremy Lin's had some wild hair. I think the iconic hairstyle currently is going to be Odell. I think OBJ's got it. It's just like you see it, and it's like that's him. It's beautiful. It's luscious. It's very different. It looks cool and it works for him. My iconic all time. There's only one man. And I guess we're going men here. I skew towards that with the crazy hair.
Thanks for explaining that.
Carlos Valderrama, Colombian soccer player legend. Valderrama. I mean, this man. If you don't know who he is, You should look him up right now. Kadeen, I want you to look up Carlos Valderrama. He has the most beautiful giant afro
Is it
in the
Wilbur's
world.
cousin?
Just go to the link. Just go to the link I sent you. He's there.
It is unbelievable, luscious. And if you look at it today, it is disgusting because he's like in his 60s. But man, it is a beautiful thing. Late 80s, early 90s.
You should also look up Valderrama and in the keyword also add FIFA or Pro Evolution Soccer, because you can see how like the game developers try to make that into the game, and they're like, "What the heck?"
Kadeen sees it. I think that I'm gonna win this one because he is the guy.
It doesn't look real. Like,
So
no, it's a video game.
Kadeen, it's actually
the other one.
Dude, so I don't know if, since you just heard about it right now. So there was one game where actually the ball got stuck in his head on a header. It was insane. If you YouTube it right now, you're gonna see it.
I didn't hear about that.
Absolutely crazy. It's also a lie.
So on the Carlos Valderrama chain, what reminded me of or I guess what sparked this was Robin Lopez, his hair, and I think his is pretty iconic. He's had the same do since he got in the league, especially he had a twin brother who was much more clean cut, and he's had that I don't know, kind of like Carlos Valderrama, like the wavy curls or whatever. And I was like, he's really stuck with the same thing this whole time. And then I was like, who's iconic current in the NBA? And I don't know if it's iconic, but I'm just thinking like Kawhi Leonard stuck with cornrows from like 2008 on. And there was like everyone right now has cornrows. I feel like you see Brad has them. You see Steph had them for a bit. Kawhi stuck with them through the dog days of cornrows when no one else rocked them, and just has that look forever.
It's like his old car.
I wouldn't say he's number one. For my number one, it was clear, modern OBJ. I think iconic long term. I thought there was only one person. I thought we were going to agree. It's got to be Dennis Rodman. It's got to be Dennis Rodman. Like that is the most iconic. There are a few other names I thought about, but he's number one all time. I think Iverson has an iconic look. Ben Wallace he's my Detroit guy. He had the fro at home. He had corners on the road.
No, you can't just throw out Ben Wallace. He did not have that cool hair.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Ben Wallace
had cool hair. He had cool hair. Yarmir Yager. Patrick Kane had the mullet during playoffs. I think present day players, you maybe say Neymar goes through a few different hairstyles.
How do you feel about Aubameyang? He's had a bunch of different looks, and they've been out there.
But they're all kind of the same look, right? He's got like the fro hawk, I guess, is the way I do it. And usually some designs in there, but solid.
He tried some rows himself, and it just did not look good.
Yeah, that was not good.
Travis Scott look. He did not score any goals for Arsenal during that time.
Yeah, I think NFL, it's a little bit tough because of helmets, although we mentioned OBJ, but I would say Troy Polamalu, got to throw him up there. I think Derrick Henry, maybe. Is that an iconic hairstyle? No.
Dude, Regan's having a great all time.
Yeah.
You ended up taking the one that I was going to propose, which was Troy Polamalu. I think he has the most iconic hair. Everyone knew where he was on the field, and it didn't fucking matter. That dude made plays constantly. 43 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That hair had insurance for over $1 million on it by Head
and Shoulders money, baby.
Head and Shoulders.
Money. So if that doesn't scream iconic, I don't know what does. Over 7 figures on just the hair alone, and it's said to be over 3 feet long. I mean, that guy, to me, that was consistent. He was so good as a player. That's iconic to me. The other player, of course, I think we've all said OBJ. That was the other one I was thinking of in terms of right now. I think Odell Beckham has fantastic hair. I agree with the Rodman pick as well. But for me, it's got to be Troy Polamalu. That's mine.
Go ahead, Kadeen.
So it's good picks. Not too bad. The OBJ thing, I think what makes it more iconic is not necessarily him, but he started a movement. Like everyone that does the natural hair, like up top with the fade, which is like the all time, like that's what everybody has right now. Like this entire Gen Z, it's that hair doing a dangly earring, and you just classify yourself as a fuckboy, and like that's who you are. And OBJ kind of started that thing, right? So like you got to give him credit as far as like starting that trend. The same way you can give Iverson credit as far as starting some trends. OBJ just has some things going. But when I'm looking at just an iconic hairdo that just screams, this is my personality, and it's just a part of who this guy is, you can't say anybody else but Rodman. Because with Rodman, you can go down a list of like 12 different hairstyles that are just completely iconic. The Green Machine hair in San Antonio. just the scariest, craziest motherfucker on the court, right? When he put the Bulls logo in his, like, you just pick all these different eras of Rodman and just be like, man, I remember when he had that hairdo in that series with Chicago. It's amazing. But since everybody did Dennis Rodman, I think he's just a first ballot Hall of Famer with this. I'm going to go outside the box, okay? Hulk Hogan. And I'm going Hulk Hogan in the sense of, Lord knows
Brother.
that those luscious locks, brother. I'm a real American, brother. Like, it's just, when he's got the Friar Tuck thing happening, where there's no hair up here, but he's still got that luscious goddamn mane behind that bandana.
It is disgusting. I don't know.
It's so gross.
I'm sorry.
I
The
love
question
the pick.
was iconic,
I love
though.
the pick.
It's
And
iconic.
sweating,
It's
just
for
sweating.
sure iconic. He still has it, right? He still rocks
Yes,
it.
he does.
My
I don't know
dad-
how he's doing it.
How do you
I
get
really-
rid
I
of
have
that?
no
Of course
idea.
he has.
But
Well, he
the
could shave his head.
No.
No, it's glued on.
That's cemented in there.
Yeah, that
You
dude's
do
hair
not
But
get
is
rid
there's,
of
so
it.
there's the
tough, it's
rumor
Hulk
now
Hogan.
that he attaches basically a wig to the bandana and just has it around his head. But it's there, man. It's there. Is it balding upside? Yeah, but that just luscious.
It's not balding.
Well, okay,
It's
hold on.
bald.
It's
Bald,
bald.
So-
completely
What a
bald,
look.
just a little bit right there. I like it though.
Good.
That's a great pick.
At some point, the main host asked, what can be more iconic than seven figures? And I think more iconic can be, I would say, tens of thousands of tattoos with this one hairstyle. And that is, I'm sorry to take you back to Argentina, but that is the face of Diego Armando Maradona.
Oh
Here.
my God.
The face with his 1986 haircut, which is a little bit what Amin has right now going, a little bit more unruly. That has been tattooed in thousands and thousands of bodies. And I mean,
Just the hair?
well, of course, no, it's his face with
Okay,
the
then
hair.
it's not the hair. It's
the
the
hair on a
player.
soccer
It's
ball.
the
Just
player.
It's a
I
part
think
of
the
it.
hair
It's a
is a
part of
very
it.
big part of it. If
You
can
don't
choose
recognize him
character
without it.
No.
he can choose number of tattoos. Matt, it's a no hate debate.
You have no, you can hate. That's fine. We'll defend him to death. But I think if you want to talk iconic, I mean, a hairstyle that has been tattooed in thousands of bodies has to be in the list. He's had a lot through the years. When you said he has to have used it in a game, that really limited me because I couldn't use the hair that he used when he was in recovery from all his addictions, which is pretty wild. Because that was a real look. But I would say that his 1986, which is the year that he won the World Cup, not that Argentina won the World Cup, that he won the World Cup, and just be clear about that, that has been tattooed in so many Argentinian bodies. I think I have to say that's got to be the most iconic right there.
So what
LC,
you're
stand
saying,
up again. Let me see the shirt. I want to see the shirt.
Yeah, LC, is it on your? Do you have his face tattooed on your butt? Tell the truth.
Right now.
I mean, if his hair is so iconic, how come you can't
Why
even
is it
see
not
it?
on
You
the
can't even
shirt?
see it in t-shirt.
It's not on the shirt.
His hair is black.
Like, that's
This
what
is the
I'm-
one.
Like, yeah, it's not on the shirt.
I got
What a
the
bad
shirt.
example.
Wait.
Wait.
LC, show the back of your shirt. It's probably all hair.
Oh no, it's not. It's his signature. It's his signature.
His shirt is kind of blending in, so it's like the
Yes.
whole shirt
That's what
Is
I'm
is
it like,
saying.
his
is it like
hair.
a negative space sort of thing
Yeah,
happening?
yeah.
Because the phrase under it, I'll translate it for you, says, one day your children and the children of your children will ask about him. And
But not his
because-
hair, because you can't see it on the shirt.
His hair
Of
belongs
course,
to him.
we're all gonna know about his hair.
No.
But hold on, because Spencer asked me if I have tattooed on my butt. When I was 13 or 14, I
Where's
went
this going?
on vacation, and I got my mom said you can get a henna tattoo, which lasts for like 2 weeks, and I got Diego tattooed in my calf with the 1986 haircut. And I went back to school, and I was the coolest kid in school for 2 weeks.
Wait, I have a question. If it's such an iconic haircut, how come you don't have it?
Well,
means
I
so
mean,
much.
just because it
It
looked
means-
good in 1986 doesn't mean it would look good on me. I can.
You hear that, Amit?
Give it up, dude.
I mean, I can bounce it
I
right
wanna
back
feel
at
young.
you. Why don't you look like Dennis Rodman? So no, I mean, look good for him. I'm not gonna steal that from him. Come on, he wore it best.
Damn, I can't come back from that shit.
That was a
All
pretty.
right,
sick throw.
I see you, Kadeen. All right, well,
All right.
now, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, wait, have you gone yet, Amit?
I went. I said Troy
Yeah.
Polamalu. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what about in DC athletes iconic hair?
Mm.
Chase
The
Young.
one that came to mind, I think, was Bryce Harper.
No,
No.
no.
There's only one answer for DC. There's only one answer.
Or I thought
there's only one answer.
Jason Worth.
Chase Young.
No. There's only one answer for DC, and that's John Riggins. The boy had a blonde afro, it's
Googling.
Come on, man. It's
Okay,
not,
yeah. I was thinking current
it's
athletes.
not close.
I was thinking current athletes. Rigo ain't got that
They
yet.
all get eliminated. Riggins is in my top 3 all time as far as hairdos, and I was gonna say his name, but now you say the DC thing. It's Rigo. It's absolutely Rigo.
John Riggins.
John Riggins'
also
hair
known as Rigo.
is incredible.
Yeah,
Pretty
Oh,
fresh.
I see. Okay. What about like oh sorry. We're sticking with DC. Okay. The fro. That looks solid. He kind of looks like Dan Marino.
Dan Marino wishes he looks like John Riggins.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and agree with Kadeen on that one. But hey, boys, we got to wrap up the show in just a few minutes here. So I want to get to this because we are definitely going to get to rip into each other on this one. Here is the would you rather for this week. Would you rather make $25 million a year as an athlete, but have no iconic moment and no championship throughout your career, or would you rather have $5 million a year as an athlete, but you do have that iconic moment that fans remember forever, as well as a championship? This time, go ahead, Kadeem.
Well, I just want some qualifiers since you guys all met
Sure.
up and talked about this without me.
Right. You were invited.
Yeah, shut up. The
What?
aspect,
What? He's making me feel bad. He turned us down.
bullshit. I mean, I legit don't remember getting invited anywhere, but maybe it has.
He's staying in. It's summer. He's got.
If it's 25 mil, no iconic moments, no championships, does that mean that I was like, so I earned the $25 million, so I can't be like a scrub. I can't like
You're not a scrub. You're a good player, clearly.
Yeah, but you're not an all-time great.
So it's not $25 million in anonymity is an amazing thing, but that wouldn't be the case with $25 million.
Correct.
You had, got it. Okay, makes me think. All right, you guys continue.
Okay.
I want to make sure.
Say you have like a 7-8 year career or something like that. Okay. So just to make it about right, you had some really good years. Maybe you had a bad injury. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
I feel like the DC equivalent that we threw on was Devontae Smith-Pelly scored the game-tying goal for the Capitals. I don't know if he's making $5 million a year, but had an iconic moment. He can live in anonymity, but all in all, if for Detroit people, they would definitely say the person who exactly fits this mold is Darren McCarty. You guys probably don't know who that is, but had some really, really iconic moments as Red Wing. I would take the $25 million. I think it's a no-brainer.
Same.
It's a job.
And I think you can still live in anonymity if you didn't win a title like that. I mean, it would be hard to find.
I mean, I would move to Montana.
You could move
Just
to
live in a
Montana on
cabin.
$5 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could do that immediately. You don't.
You can
need
own
Yeah,
Montana.
but I would
$25
have
a year.
more. I would have more money. I mean, how much do you
What do you think
think?
the average wealth of Montana is? Like
Well,
residents?
hold on.
Does it Kanye? No, Kanye's in Wyoming. Never mind.
Yeah.
Is the 25? Is the 25
Jackson Hole.
before tax?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
both before tax.
And that got.
But you can just do Panama paper that stuff, Elsie. You know, you're an
Can I
asset.
get like Florida no income tax? Like, can I do speed?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And we'll say no income tax.
Well,
All right, I'm going
That's
with
a
the
big
$5
difference.
million in the iconic moments. The
There
reason
you
I'm
go.
going with the $5 million in the iconic moments is
And a
because
championship.
and the championship is that I'm going to be able to spin that into a lot more money. Like, if I'm going to take the $5 million in the iconic moments, I'm going to license that fucking moment. I'm going to have a podcast. I'm going to have TV appearances. I'm going to have endorsements.
NFT
I'm
that
going to
thing.
have everything.
How are you licensing a moment?
NFTs, dude, it's
motherfucker.
huge right now.
But you don't own
Yeah,
the
did you
rights.
wanna
You don't
talk
own.
about
no,
NFTs?
did
You don't
whoa,
own the
whoa, whoa,
rights.
Answer that
Do you
question.
know the video? You know the video Charlie bit my finger?
Yeah.
Do you see
that's-
that just sold for $700,000 is getting pulled off of YouTube?
Iconic.
Okay.
Iconic, baby.
Okay, but
Literally an iconic baby. Go ahead.
that's first of all,
Wait.
it's $700,000. That's
Right.
not making up. That's not making up the $20 million a year. First of all, we
Look,
said
man.
this was our yearly. This is the yearly salaries. So we're talking more than just. It's not just a $20 million difference. It's probably like a $80 to $100 million difference.
So like I'm trying to find loopholes in it, right? So like I could say I'll take the $5 million, then my contract's over, but because of the iconic moments, I'm gonna fool somebody and give me another contract, but I can't do that, right?
I think that the
Yeah.
money.
You're done with your athletic
Career's
Yes.
done.
Careers.
Yeah, I think
You can
the
do post.
icon-
You can talk. The things you're talking about are legit. You can do commentary,
Yeah, but-
whatever.
But
But
you play 7-8 years. That's $40 million, right? That's still like a good amount. To me, I think there is a certain point where you can make enough money, and then what do you play the sport for? You can play it for money, but you also play
Straight
for the
cash,
moment. You
homie.
also play for the championship. And those are the things that a lot of athletes crave. And I am one of them. That's why I'm trying to get the Diego Armando Maradona look right now, is to crave that
Going
moment,
strong.
that excitement. And that's what I would go with. I think undoubtedly, because at a certain point, you've made enough money. Now, what do people remember you for? And apparently you can still get anonymity. Like you said, DSP, some people just don't remember DSP. So you still get that anonymity while having that iconic moment, while potentially getting endorsements out of it in the moment, right? So that's $5 million a year that you're making for the team. Doesn't necessarily mean that it has to stop what you're getting outside of it. So as well as the championship, you get that pedigree as well, and people can never question you in your career. Think about Paul George. He has a really good career, right? But people are always going to be like, you sort of fell short. That's going to be fucking annoying to deal with the whole time, and people know who he is.
I'm picturing this as like my Nick Foles moment. Like it's the starting quarterback goes down. I go on a run. I look incredible. And maybe it's Nick Foles if he was 40 years old, right? So like after I do that, Nick Foles runs that city. He can do anything he wants to. Like you get a pass to a certain degree. Like to me, if I got that, like it'd be pretty legit.
But like, do you think Nick Foles is going to move to Philly after his career?
He better.
Yeah,
Smart.
after Philadelphia's racist ass city realizes because
his ass going to Montana.
However, black boxers they have that are from Philadelphia to stop a fucking Rocky statue. There's only a matter of time before Big Dick Nick is swinging a statue in front of Lincoln Financial.
Yeah. Hey, Spencer, I want to know what you think. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm an iconic moment kind of guy. I tried to scale this for non-sport stuff. I think Matt and I discussed this over beers when Kadeen wasn't there, and we were having so much fun. It was kind of like if you scaled this, to whatever job that you do, and you could reach the pinnacle of that job. I think I would reach the pinnacle of that job because there's always opportunities to make more money. There's always opportunities to, continue in business in some way, shape, or form. And I think that when you're talking between 5 and 25 million. I don't know. I think I'd take the iconic moment, the championship, and $5 million sounds great to me. And I could live on that easily in Montana. So
exactly.
I just think of like pinnacle moments and reaching that and not to get overly cheesy, but just like, for your kids and grandkids, and it's like, man, my grandfather won blank and hit the home run or
my grandfather gave me $20 million.
Maybe they would like that better, actually.
You're not doing that. You're going to be like, make
my
your own
kids
money.
ain't getting that money work.
Yes, look, that's what I'm saying.
No,
He's
give me
spending it.
You give me the $5 million, I'll buy $4 million worth of Dogecoin. I'll be straight.
Right, exactly. So some people made a bunch of money off of Dogecoin where it just shot up for that brief moment and then they sold it. Like you can make money in many different ways. The prestige of hitting the pinnacle of your career, like Spencer said, that's hard.
I just think that we can all agree that Matt and Elsie are greedy bastards, and
100%.
we're not. So
I've already said I would sell it for Kadeen's podcast in a second.
That is.
I've already said that.
Say that.
I've been very clear.
Saying,
I can be.
The thought
Why am I in
process of being
America?
to be able to walk into a bar and they say, "Oh my God, that's him," and like you get
How do you not want
just
that?
that conversation.
That's
They could say that about you about 25. If you're a $25 million player, you're making that
rich
too.
bastard that
stole
money from the organization.
Dame Lillard hit the shot on him. Yeah,
You might be hated.
You think
You're Albert
Charles
Hainsworth
Barkley is
is what
hated
you are.
by? You think? Okay, no one's saying you're a scrub. You're saying you deserve. You could have a good career still. They're playing good players.
Paul George's current iconic moment is Dame Lillard hitting a 3 in his fucking face and him waving at him bye. That's
or bricking his 3 into the backboard.
Or onto the side of the backboard. That dude makes tons of money.
I just want to say also, Kadeen, you are well on your way to walking into a DC bar and people recognizing you for the podcast legend that you are. So don't even worry about it. You don't even need to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
You're a professional.
Well, I doubt it because the district divided numbers aren't quite getting there. I'm international, baby.
Particularly.
Oh my gosh.
So you're close to walking. You're close to walking into a Bangladesh bar and then people being like,
the
my God."
Bangladeshis. The Bangladeshis
It's already done.
definitely
Done deal.
know.
Done deal.
It seems like Spencer has to go. You want to say any last words before you dip? No, he has nothing.
I love you all. See ya.
He unmuted.
All right, see you, Spence. Just absolutely shocked. But listen, the Bangladeshis are well aware of Kadeem. So I think, but that was well before the podcasting days, right? Like you get fantasy advice from those guys.
Yeah, that's a known fact that like I have, when I'm doing a fantasy football draft, there are multiple computer setups including a main line to Bangladesh where they are running.
You have like a
my
clock
draft
with the
prep.
time in Bangladesh.
It's incredible. I don't care what time it is. I pay them enough. All right. I'm responsible for Hey, 40% of the GDP of Bangladesh is your boy. Okay, I'm just saying. Bangladesh is in Asia? I really need to lay off.
That is correct. That is correct. Bangladesh is in Asia. My lord. Okay,
Right,
so it seems like we're evenly split.
So you guys would all take the you
I'm
guys
with
would
you,
all,
man.
you guys would all take the $5 million and the prestige.
The way my screen is currently laid out, it's me and Kadeen on this side, and then we got Matt and Elsie on this side. So Zoom seems to be hip to the conversation.
I'm just worried about this as a, if we're trying to make this off into a successful business. I'm sure we're right around the corner and blowing up and becoming very rich from this, but I'm just worried that like you're going to get offered a huge contract and you're going to say no.
I want the
No,
prestige.
As he
More
should.
creative control.
As he should.
We're not going to go for the prestige.
As he should. That's the thing. Is that, like, if I'm gonna the same way that any podcast, if Spotify comes tomorrow and says, "Yeah, we're going to take your IP, we're going to do this, we're going to do that," no, thank you. Like, if you want to do distribution, you can do distribution.
Dude,
but it's my project. You're not going to be able to tell me what I can and can't say on my thing. There are principles to this, man.
Okay. That's not what the 25 million. You act as if you got 25 million and you're just like the worst person in the world.
But if you give me $5 million and the opportunity, at least the know-how and how to spring that iconic moment to more than $25 million, I think that's my opportunity. If I get $25 million and that's it for me, and I know that I'm just going to – I look at that $5 million and I look at the opportunity that I get because of the iconic moment that's going to lead to many, many more millions of dollars down the road for me.
I don't think so.
It absolutely would.
I
think it absolutely
What?
would.
Not absolutely. Yes. Like, you think David
In
Tyree
that
is a
city,
rich man right now?
In New York, he probably
I
is.
think it would lead. I
He'd
think
be
it would
taken
lead
care
to
of in
more
New
money.
York.
But I think it would lead to more money. But if
what,
I
you think
had,
you are paying his rent? Think people are buying him a house?
I think majority
He
of
could buy his
athletes
own
are not
house,
necessarily
$5 million a
financially
year.
sound.
Right.
They don't make the
$5
wisest
million a year.
decisions. But if you have a business mind and you look and you say, look, I've got something that is ingrained in people. I've got something that they tell their kids about. I got something that made them feel something. Mm-hmm. You can turn that into something if you just know what you're doing.
Also, people know if you're a champion, that does help. They'll be like, this guy's a
but wait,
and if you're an
you're
athlete
still
making
talking about
25 a
working.
year, you will still have those opportunities too.
Yeah, but it means you haven't won
You will
shit.
still have you can be
made
a
a lot of
coach,
money.
you can be an analyst.
Yeah, but not just that, but then
you know what you're doing. You're not a dummy who got 25 million. You know arguably more than the person who made 5 million, because there's a reason you made 25 million. You were just a better athlete.
Arguably,
smarter.
you could have just
So
been born
try
with
and
better
capture a
blessed
singular
genetics and
moment,
stuff like that.
yes.
But to get the moment, dude.
If you were to go ask Tony Romo right now if he could give back 50% of all the money he's made, 70% of all the money he's made, to have not fumbled in that playoff game and to have gone on that run for the Cowboys to have a championship, he's going to tell you he would have won that Super Bowl. Majority of those guys are going to say they would give it back so they could win it. That's just what it is.
Hold that. I mean, yeah, that's on that. But I
disagree.
do think that
he's making 17 million a year now.
The difference is that I agree that if you win the 5, you can make more money, but then you have to like literally go ahead and make it and work for it. Whereas if you have the 25 a year,
another good point.
You just put it out there, like you invest it, and you're just on passive income, living your life wherever the hell you want to go, and you don't have to keep working.
You
for
could
it.
probably
It's
do
like
that without investing
Yeah.
the 25 million a year. I think you could. I think it's pretty safe to say.
You'd be dumb not to.
So
what
would you
What are you
guys?
gonna put 80 million in a
That's-
bank account?
Last thing, since you guys
Put it on the dollar.
Last thing, since you guys are pretty adamant on the 25 million a year, and then we wrap it up. What would you guys buy? Since clearly that is very important.
I don't know.
Don't even have a fucking answer. Are you kidding me? There's nothing in mind.
He wants to
I'm gonna
Scrooge
start-
McDuck in a swimming
I-
pool. Like, that's
No.
all he wants to-
I would buy experiences. I would go places. I would travel.
Like maybe an iconic
A
moment in a
championship.
championship.
Like, that's an experience.
Okay, I think we
No,
won
like,
this debate. I think we won
traveling.
this debate.
No, but just having the financial security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would still have 40 minutes. Okay, anyway,
I would buy
that-
generational wealth. Is what I would buy.
Yeah.
Okay, no. I
exactly,
respect
exactly.
the generational wealth.
Yeah,
I respect
yeah.
that. I respect that.
Equity.
You ever
I-
see?
but
Like,
Have
still-
y'all ever watched the show Succession on HBO? Best show on
A
TV.
little.
Yeah.
I started.
But there's a
it's
line in Succession about how nobody wants $5 million. I'm going against my own logic because it's just right in my head. Nobody wants $5 million. $5 million is not enough to retire. $5 million is going to go away. $5 million is also enough money that you don't feel like you have to work. It's just you're the poorest rich man. $5 million is a problem more than it is a good thing. And that's where it is. You can talk to rich people.
So we
offline.
win. It's 3-1, Emmett.
Okay.
I'm
so-
not sticking with $5 million, though. $5 million is going to bring me a lot more
5
money. 'cause
million
I know what I'm doing.
times eight. But anyway, Kadeen
Pretty
almost
much.
sabotaged our complete argument there. But this is
Succession's
District
good.
Divided, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the podcast, please like and comment and join the conversation. I want to know if you would rather have $5 million, an iconic moment in a championship, or $25 million a year, be set for life, clearly, but no iconic moment or championship. Follow us on Twitter. Join the Facebook group. We have Instagram. So, yeah, just thank you so much for listening. Thank you, boys. That's Matt Regan. That's LC. That's K. Dot. I'm just going to go K. Dot from now on instead of just keeping it K. Dot. And that was Spencer Brudig, who just could not handle the heat of this conversation. We will see you all next week. Take it easy.
Yeah.